Well, hey everybody, I'm Jack, and this is Raw Tropical Living. Thanks for joining me today. Hope everybody's doing well out there. I've got a nice gray, dreary, rainy day here in South Alabama. It's been like that all day, and I have no complaints. It's not that cold, but the house hasn't warmed up, so that's why I'm bundled up like winter. I'm pretty cold-natured. But yeah, loving this weather. This kind of takes me back to those days in the mountains in Costa Rica when it would do this for 3, 4, 5 days at a time. What I wouldn't give for a couple of days in that good old cabin I had with my dog. Anyhow, bigger things. My biggest raw food diet motivation I want to share with you today. Guys, I do videos every day, so if you're not already subscribed, please go down there and hit that subscribe button. And then immediately click on the little bell and check send notifications so you will stay subscribed to the channel. My biggest motivation, I hear people talk about their motivations. There's a lot of different motivations out there. I'm sure I've got more than one, but, and I don't know, I'm gonna try to do my best to see if I can even put this into words. I was thinking about it a little while before. My biggest motivation is my life. And very soon after I came to this lifestyle, my life was drastically different. Sometimes when you're in situations or when you're looking from the inside, you don't really see how things are. I didn't really realize how shitty life was back then. And to put it in perspective, it wasn't shitty from the aspect of, I still had a lot to be grateful for. I had a roof over my head. I ate every day. And to be quite frank, a lot of that was because of the booze. The booze just clouds your head, especially when booze is as big a part of your life as it was for me. When I first came to this lifestyle, I remember I used to joke about this. This was way before the channel. I remember waking up on a Saturday or Sunday morning and going, good, what the hell is this? I get out of bed. I actually was expecting a hangover. Can you dig that? I was expecting a hangover. I just was so used to waking up in these states, especially on weekends, that I'm like, damn, this feels pretty good. So the drinking, man, that is one of the things, I've talked about a lot on this channel. And honestly, if I had not come to this lifestyle, I don't know where I would be right now. Because I'm going to tell you why I say it like that. I had stopped drinking before. I've stopped drinking a bunch of times, but I never had anything behind that. I never had a foundation behind that. I never had a really reason why other than, okay, you've just been screwing up and you've been feeling crappy and you want to feel a little bit better. But when I started eating this lifestyle, a lot of things changed. Just my outlook on life, compassion, the way I treated others, the way I looked at others. And I go over this back and forth a lot of times in my head. And I really think that if I had just stayed on my path, I was already on a health path. But I think if I had not found specifically what I'm doing, I wouldn't have kept that motivation for these last 6.5 years not to drink. It was the first time in my life that I really was like, yeah, I don't want to put bad stuff in my body anymore. It wasn't, all of a sudden, it wasn't about what can I get away with? Is this much going to hurt me? What can I do in moderation? I was like, no. And then I feel good, when you feel good every single day, you look back and almost kick yourself. You're like, good Lord, I was stupid. I used to feel like crap. Not even just the booze, too. Little things you might take for granted. Like sometimes I'm sitting around and feeling really good, and I'm like, man, this is just really great. Now I kind of control this, how I feel internally. Whereas before it was kind of like, just spinning the wheel and what's going to come up today. Oh man, I got kind of a funky stomach today. I don't know why, or I've got this, or I've got that. I still remember the first weekend I stumbled across this whole raw vegan lifestyle thing. And I remember all weekend, I watched videos, I Googled things, I looked things up. And it made such an impact on me. It was like I was being struck by a lightning bolt. Like that day, people ask me all the time, I'll talk one more little thing about the booze. People, how did you quit? I don't know. That day I got struck by lightning. It was like I didn't want to put that, like I said a minute ago, I didn't want to put that stuff in my body anymore. And it made sense. And I'm going to tell you something, from the very first weekend that I ever heard anything about this, a lot of stuff, there was no transitioning. There was no this, that, bing, bang, boom, the other. There was a lot of stuff that left that day. that day, because for me, once I had seen what something did to me as a rational human being, as my mind had already cleared out a bit. I had stopped the drinking a little before I went raw, but yeah, that was it for me right there. I'm like, no way, I'm not going back. At the time that I did come across all this raw vegan stuff, I was still drinking 1 glass of red wine a day. That was part of the health journey. You know, I'd seen about this, oh, red wine's good for the heart. So I would have 1 glass of red wine for a day. After that weekend, I never touched a drop of alcohol again. I never thought about a drop of alcohol again. I never wanted a drop of alcohol again. And it was the same way with a lot of foods. There were certain things like, listen, don't think I'm here trying to tell you, oh, I'm perfect, I did this thing perfectly. I did a lot of things that weren't so healthy, but I was vegan day one. Boom, boom, it just hit. Now, yes, I haven't used this one in a while, but I kind of transitioned not knowing I was transitioning during the period leading up to me going raw. Otherwise, like I was just seeking health, and I had kind of naturally dropped animal products and was eating more fruit and what have you. But yeah, I did, from that weekend on, just hearing this stuff for the very first time. Booze left my life, never to be seen again. Cheese left my life, never to be seen again. There were certain things, meat, never to be seen again. Vegan, I went vegan that day. The only thing I had maybe the first year, and I'm not going to get into debates with, because the people go back and forth, is honey. I had a little bit of honey the first year. Not really all that fond of honey, so it wasn't a big deal anyway. But from that day, I was vegan in almost everything I did. I remember I didn't even buy a belt for my pants at the time, because all I could find in the area where I was leather. So that, I mean, it hit me profoundly, and the combination of just one, in 1 year getting rid of the alcohol and drastically changing the way that I ate just did a 180 for me. Like, I know when I went back to the beach after having lived in the city for a while, people didn't know how to take me. Still, people do not know how to take me, because I'm crazy Jack. You got to always remember about people, you only know what you know. It's kind of like, it's hard, if you've known somebody as one thing, it's hard to see them another way. So you've not seen Crazy Jack. You've never seen me laying in a gutter. You've never seen me puke on myself. So, you're like, I can't even imagine that probably, or maybe you can, but I mean, it just, and all of a sudden my disposition, my attitude, my outlook on life, I was happy. I was just happy, it's like all of a sudden, like I say, boom, I just was happy. I didn't feel like being sarcastic to people all the time. I used to actually I used the term, like, I like to be depressed. I like gray, rainy days. I'd be in bad moods. I was very moody. I can still be a little moody every once in a while, so we haven't gotten rid of all of that. But yeah, it was just, like I say, it's the inner things that can't really be seen that was the biggest, that has motivated me to stay on this lifestyle. And it happened really quick. I remember, just getting, like, back in the beginning, now I think I'll attribute some of it to low blood sugar, but I was very emotional when I first came to this lifestyle. I remember that, and for a while I was even thinking, like, okay, now I'm not one of these, oh, I'm too proud to be emotional, but I'm like, okay, this is kind of annoying. I hope I don't stay this emotional, but what I look back on and think, I think it was a purging. I think it was a mental psyche purging of all the things that had been before. And I've pretty much been happy ever since. You know why? Because I chose happiness. Once I got all this stuff clogged out of my body, once I had all the gunk out, I don't know, it just lightened me up. Besides the physical weight I lost, I mean, it just felt like it took kind of a load off of me. And I kind of embraced it too. I really jumped in and embraced being a new person early on. I wasn't shy about it. I didn't mind, like going from being kind of a smart ass to being kind to people. And like I say, I know it messed with a lot of people's heads, and I know a lot of people were just like, okay, when's he going to go back to the old ways? But I'm not going back to the old ways. I'm not going back to the old ways, because I'm going to tell you, at 54 years old, I don't know. I mean, my body's pretty resilient. I've got a pretty good immune system, but I like to think if I had probably not come to this lifestyle, if I'd have just stayed on a health path where I was kind of, doing the whole thing of eating to look fit and be like everybody else does, I think eventually I'd have slipped back to the drinking. I'm gonna be just dead honest with you because I always did before. I always did before. I could show you photos of me where I'd go through my clean periods. I was buff as hell. I was about 180, just built. But I'd have stopped drinking at that point. I'd be taking care of what I was eating, but I would always slip back into the alcohol, you know. And eventually, what would happen would be, well, I can go out and have a glass of wine with dinner. I can go out and do this and that, and it would have spiraled. So I don't know where I would be today, you know. Having drank for so long, I feel like I've regenerated a lot of the cells in my body. I don't know, maybe I would already be seeing the effects of you know, the liver, of what alcohol does to a body for so many years. And hey, this just popped into my head as I'm talking. I realize I'm jumping around a lot here, but I just wanted to talk about the intangible aspects of this lifestyle for me, because you guys see what you see. You know, people all the time are saying, like, I'm so happy that the that the iPhones and all the cameras didn't exist 10 years ago. I really kind of wish I had documentation of the shittiest of the shitty days, and when I looked like a bum, when I was wandering, I had worn the same clothes for 3 days, and I basically looked like a street person. So yeah, this lifestyle, this changed my life. I got no animosity towards anybody. I don't have any bad feelings towards anybody. I don't care how anybody eats. I'm not going to get into any arguments with them. Well, I will say I don't care how anybody eats. I don't care exactly what they eat. I would surely hope they would become vegan, because that helps our planet, that helps the animals, that helps everybody. But all that stuff was just lifted away on me. I'm happy every day, and nobody else can control. Like, I've learned a lot about myself through that clarity too, that nobody else can control my happiness. Nobody else can control my demeanor, and not to let anybody else, that I'm ultimately responsible. So like I say, this was just a big old rambling, turned into a big old rambling video today, but I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you like it, please give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you again tomorrow. Peace.